happy birthday.
Thank you. It's Sunday.
I know.
But I started celebrating yesterday.
I know that. And what we're going to try to do, I was talking to Dave earlier, give us a picture of you and then that, and then we'll put that together and let people see it's your birthday and like and I like.
When we come on, I'll lead into it so you can ramble about how good you are.
Yeah, let you hear.
It's because the fireworks are like the day before, right? So I always kind of like, hey, I made a grand entrance into the world.
You came in with a bang.
Fireworks. And then peekaboo.
Get peekaboo.
All right, now which one of these is the video?
That one.
That one? We'll see if it's right.
Remind me to talk to you about Huff before we leave, okay?
Like, okay.
Yeah, good. It came out right.
Great. Welcome to BNET Hot Topics. For those of you that are watching live, please share and invite your friends. So I think that we're finally getting over all of our technical difficulties and we're learning how to get the angles right. So we haven't started online yet. I'm sorry, we started online. We haven't started the radio podcast yet. But I'm here with Dave Biondi, with the founder of BNET Radio, and Ralph Cooper, Sports Talk Radio, and me, of course, Sonia. And I hope today we opened it up for the first time for callers to call into the station, and we have special guest Ed Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, joining us here in just a few minutes. So the call-in number is 713-510-0424.
Okay, I'm going to do the top of the hour and then we'll come in after that first song. Dave Biondi live from the Houston Mothership Studios of BNET Radio. Thank you for listening. Here's that Chicano national anthem. Don't ever call it the Tejano national anthem around Little Joe. He gets all upset. This is Little Joey La Familia, Las Nubes on BNET Radio. Stick around because we got hot topics.
So for our live stream audience, I want to know how many of y'all remember back in the day when Gakuka was here and everybody was like, I'm not a native of Houston. I moved to Houston in 1987, but I remember discovering Tejano music in 1987 and I just fell in love and I never left. So I have to give Tejano music credit for my still being here. And then they took it away from me, but thank goodness BNET Radio brought it back and it's still alive and well. And so we're thankful that, you know, our listeners are joining in, and thankful for those of you who are watching us live. And stay tuned. We're trying to, you know, entertain you as well as educate you. So hopefully we do a good job, and just keep commenting. And at some point we're going to open up the phone lines so you can call in with some questions if you'd like.
We're all dressed in black. Hi, BNET Radio. Hello.
Hi, I'm calling in to listen to our 3 o'clock broadcast.
Yeah, who's this?
Tom?
Oh, okay, Tom.
The sheriff will be on in a second.
All right, the sheriff will be on in a few minutes.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Give us a minute.
Already got calls, man.
That's a good sign.
We already have calls
totally.
coming in for Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, so hopefully he's ready. So Matt Velasquez commented last week. Did you see it?
Who?
Matt Velasquez
Oh, really?
from, he said to tell you hi.
Yeah. I haven't talked to Matt in a long time.
Thank you, Elsa, for the birthday wishes. I'm a little extra. I started yesterday.
Let them know that you are concerned.
Thank you, Letty. Eddie?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
That's really good.
it's more than anything. It's more than anything.
Hi, BNET Radio.
Hi, this is Lou. I'm calling to speak to Mr. Gonzalez.
Who is this?
Lou Riley.
He'll be on in a second.
He'll be on in just a few minutes.
Okay.
Call back
Call
then.
back?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, we're about to go.
He ain't called yet, right?
It's always hot in here.
We have people calling in already. Please call in.
BNET Radio. Absolutely the most listened to Tejano internet radio station in the whole wide world. We appreciate you for being there. And today, of course, is Thursday, so it is Hot Topics time. We have Sonia Rivera, we have Ralph Cooper, and we have the High Sheriff coming on here in just a few minutes. And Sonia, is it just a nasty thing? Do you have another birthday?
It's a nasty rumor. No, I love my birthdays actually.
Okay.
How old are you? You look as if you're about what?
25?
Yeah, 20. You passed the 24. 24.
All right, let's see if this caller is the right one here. BNET Radio.
It's Gonzalez, the sheriff.
Hey, we got Sonia on the air right now, and Ralph Cooper. Take it away.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, welcome, Ed. Thank you for agreeing to join us, and it's such a special, it's an honor to have you on the show. And you know, in light of all of the things that are happening in Houston and Harris County, we wanted to invite you to give your perspective on all of the things that are happening, not only in Houston and Harris County, but also around the nation in regards to the efforts to defund the police and what's happening, and give us your take on what's happening here in our own county.
Sure. Well, thank you, Sonia and Ralph. I'm a big fan of both of you, and of course, BNET Radio and everybody that tunes in. And of course, Tejano music. I grew up with Tejano music, so it's always in my heart as well. But, I mean, I think there's a lot happening.
Yeah, go ahead.
Everyone in a very profound way. Clearly, what happened was wrong. It shouldn't have occurred. And it's something that really forces us to look themselves at our agencies and to see how we could do better. You know, with 18,000 police agencies across the country, some may be further ahead than others, but we still have a lot of work to do. And I think it's important that both law enforcement and the community work together. I think that there's work to be done on both sides. Obviously, you know, in policing, there's many times when we're getting it wrong, when too many black men are dying at the hands of police, and at the same time, we know that there's also been an attack on law enforcement, and I think that that's also not productive and helpful. You know, I feel that we can't vilify all police officers for the bad actions of some, but in our profession, you know, it's up to us to take the high road and to be the professionals, and you know, there's more at stake, and people's lives are at stake. So I think that definitely conversations need to happen. There's a lot of opinions and suggestions of what should and shouldn't happen, and I think it's important to first listen and try to understand, and then try to make sure that we're making the best decisions that at the end of the day create us policing for everyone, and at the same time that still maintains public safety.
Sure, and I've known you for a long time, and I know that that you are very community-minded. I guess one of the things that really concerns me, it's no secret that I've been very against the defunding of police, because you know, and I'm not gonna lie, I've had traffic tickets and it's no fun, but you know, it's no secret that policing is so necessary in our communities, and it's very interesting, the dynamic of it, because the impact of defunding police would impact, in my opinion, the minority communities the most. And I don't want to say the most, but I think it would have a huge impact on minority communities. And, you know, without having the stats in front of me, I don't want to say that. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, thanks always for your support of law enforcement. You know, it's greatly appreciated. What I want to encourage people to do is maybe not to get caught up on the terms like defunding, or I've even heard abolishing police. There's so many terms going on. I think people are just frustrated, upset, you know, just a lot of different emotions going on right now. And what I think we should do, and I encourage people, let's just rethink what policing should look like into the future. Because business for a long time in different roles, I'll say that policing in America is on the front lines of three important issues: mental illness, addiction, and poverty. And if we had time to talk about each of those three, we would see that many times it's law enforcement that's being called to resolve some of those issues. And frankly, those should be community-based responses. I know you've done a lot of community work. You've been very plugged in. You know the community better than anybody. So does Ralph. And I think that there's a lot of issues that simply law enforcement isn't the best answer. You know, and I think that there's better ways to handle certain things. And there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed, and when they're not addressed, law enforcement ends up getting called in, and then we have limited tools. You know, those situations could easily become a threat to law enforcement. They could become a threat to the individual, to the community. We end up incarcerating people, and it becomes very expensive. You know, I operate the largest mental health hospital in the state of Texas by way of running the jail. 25% of the individuals inside the jail are at least on one psychotropic medication, meaning that our medical doctors assess them and determine that they have some type of depression, bipolar, something. It's not just them saying that they've been assessed by a professional. We have almost 1,000 people that are here that are homeless individuals. And my point is, we as taxpayers are paying for it. We're paying for our staff, for their care and everything. Like, we should find better ways to see where we could, you know, better pay for those costs up front, that they're not committing crimes, and that we're not just incarcerating people left and right. I just think we can't incarcerate our way out of every problem, you know? And we need to make sure that we're keeping those that really are a threat to the community. But some of these other issues, you know, and if you look at the population, it's 50% African American. I mean, and minorities, so another 25% are Latinos. So 75% of our population here in the jail are just, you know, black and brown individuals. Now, I'm not telling you I know what the answer is, but it forces us as adults and decision makers to sit at the table and have good discussion about these things. And that's what I hope happens. Not just say defund the police or don't defund the police. We got to be smart. We need good government. We need to make sure that we're using, that money is better spent. In the state of California, it costs about $100,000 a year to detain a juvenile. Heck, for that amount of money, and I know you've worked with juveniles a lot, Sonia, I mean, we might as well send them a free ride.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I think discussion is good, and I think that's what we're having to do, is just say, how can we be doing better?
And I think Ralph had a
Yes,
question.
yes, Ed, good afternoon and all of that good stuff. And let me ask you this, with so many things going on the wrong side in regards to the police right now, I mean, you see these stories about charges coming from the DA's office. What message would you send to people if you were in front of a group of people who don't trust the police right now? You know, there are youngsters out there who don't trust the police, there are older people who don't trust the police. What would Ed Gonzalez tell those people?
Well, what I would tell them is, look, I understand their frustration. I understand. You see, because what I try to do is understand where they're coming from. And I remember growing up here in Houston, way before your time, Sonia, but you know, I remember Joe Campbell's story.
Right, I do too, yes.
And I still have those images playing in my head, just being a young kid and seeing it on the news. And we had, you know, a Tejano, you know, a veteran that was killed at the hands of police. It is what it is. It happened, you know. And I think that if you look at the history of policing, not all policing, we've got to be fair, not all policing, but I'm talking about the histories. They were used to inform, you know, slave ownership, you know, things like those issues that maybe we haven't always understood. And sometimes the interactions haven't been the best ones. I told you, I have 8,000 people incarcerated in the jail today. 50% are black males. So that tells me that for 50% of those families, it's law enforcement that took their loved one to jail. Now, I'm not telling you it was right or wrong. That has nothing to do with it. So the only time they probably interacted with law enforcement hasn't been in a positive way. I hear from parents, and Ralph, you may be able to explain this better to me, but I hear from parents, grandparents, that they said, hey, I've had that talk with my son or my grandson if they get stopped by the police. And no one should be afraid. And whether I tell people, you don't need to be afraid, I know how I would police, and I would be fair, I'll treat you fair. But we know from some of the things that we've seen on the news that sometimes that doesn't happen. So we can't just say all police are good. In my heart, I believe we are. In our profession, I know it's good. But whenever we see bad policemen, we've seen it in HP and we've seen it with us, we move quickly to try to terminate the people. You know, sometimes we can move faster rather than sometimes it's slower because there's certain rules in place. But I want them to know that we do care and we're trying to listen. At the same time, I don't want the community to vilify and blame every law enforcement person they somehow being bad or that they're all, you know, out to hurt people, because they're not. There's good people every day. I'm out on the streets quite a bit and I see them. And they're responding to calls and they're helping people. They help save people. And sometimes those stories aren't reported.
Yeah, and I'm very concerned with the rhetoric because it's a dangerous job already, and with people really targeting police officers with the hostility or preconceived notions of what the police are, and buying into the media. I blame the media perception of police officers right now. I think that it just exacerbates the safety, you know, the danger that police officers are in. One of my particular topics that I'm very passionate about is the bail bond. I know that the bail bond reform in theory is a good, it was a necessary reform in not holding people of color hostage who couldn't afford you know, the bonds. However, crime has gone up exponentially. And I think, again, you know, police officers are arresting criminals and then they're being released back out onto the streets. And a lot of these individuals are violent offenders. So what's your take? How do you feel about that?
I think it's a complex issue, and I think sometimes, you know, again, we have to understand the origins. In our country, you know, we're coming up on Independence Day. You know, the courts have ruled all the way to the Supreme Court that there's a presumption of people being free during the pretrial phase of a criminal case. Meaning that if you were to commit a crime today, you have a right to be issued a bond that you can afford, to not be you know, denied due process and all that. All this stuff has been explained and ruled by the courts historically. This isn't anything new. And so what happens is we've got to remember that law enforcement or city is limited in that we can't keep people in jail just for punishment. Even if we want to say, man, I know this person really did this crime, they're still considered innocent until proven guilty. So what happens when we look at 9,000 people that I have in custody right now, over 7,000 of them are on a pretrial basis, meaning that they haven't been convicted of their crime. Now, we might think that they did it, but remember what I said, that's not the foundation of our system. Our system says that technically they're court to post bond. You see, if somebody committed a murder today, or commits a DWI or something, as long as they have money, they get released tomorrow or today. No questions asked. They put their money, they're out of here. So where is the concern about them getting released? So what the court said is, wait a minute, you can't use money as the only factor to consider who stays in and who stays out. Because what happened is now you have just poor people or people that can't afford $1,000 to get out. You have them locked up in jail for a year. They're not even guilty yet, but because you think that they're out committing crimes, even if they go out and commit crimes, you can't just money for that. And so what we need the state to be able to expand laws to say, you know what, we want everybody, if you look at state statutes, only people like on capital offenses can be held on no bond. And so what we need to do is get to a system where we make better decisions, where judges make better decisions at looking at risk. We've seen too many situations where people should not have been released. They didn't look at risk and they let those individuals out. They need to be able to do what they can to hold those people as long as they can. And that's to your point. So I agree with you. Anybody on violent offenses or on repeat bonds or anything like that, we need to be able to keep them.
Yeah.
But Bill is so inconsistent here that those people that maybe it's their first time offense or it's just a drug charge, they have some type of possession charge of some kind, they stay in jail, non-violent, and somebody that commits an assault, even domestic violence, they'll either post a bond or a judge will give them a PR bond.
Right.
We shouldn't be doing that.
It's been very disproportionate.
Oh, I have a question. What can the people do? I mean, what can the citizens do to help in all of this? I mean, you are protecting them. We don't want to be without the police. We don't want to be without any policing. So how can the citizens help make it a better situation?
Well, I think the citizens, I think that it's important for people to become informed on all these things. You know, there is, a large group that obviously wants, some that don't want any police, just like there's some that don't want anybody in jail. You know, and I don't agree with that either. We've got to make sure we're being smart about who stays in jail. And violent people need to stay in jail, you know, until their case gets resolved. These things have voting implications. People need to vote. They need to do their research on these issues. There's a lot of different things that people can do to get involved. Obviously there's a lot of issues at stake, and there's not an easy fix. But we need people. We need your listeners to be engaged and vote. We just need people to get involved and to care about these issues.
Yeah.
We had a gentleman that worked at a service station, 288 and Reed Road in the Sunnyside area, right off of 288. He was killed there while he worked. And there are people in that neighborhood who know who probably did it, but they're looked at as snitches. How do you deal with that kind? What would you tell those people who know who killed this man? It's a snitch type situation.
No, I think that there's no higher crime than murder, and we need to make sure that if anybody takes someone's life, we need to be able to bring closure to the family. We need to make sure that individual, once you've killed somebody, what's to stop you from killing again?
There is a Crime Stoppers Anonymous line, though, isn't there?
That's what I was going to say, Sonia. That was going to be my point. Is just call Crime Stoppers. It's anonymous. Put it in their hands. You don't have to give your information. Heck, you'll even get a reward. And do the right thing. Now, what happens at the end if the justice system fails it and there's no prosecution or no conviction or no arrest, then at least you did what you were supposed to do. And that's what we would encourage people. We know that, people are afraid, in the neighborhood where I grew up in the north side as well, you just don't, it's a neighborhood thing. You just don't want to sometimes talk on what happened, but we got to do that. If not, it could be somebody else could get hurt.
So I want to ask you something, but in I just wanted to just wanted to let everybody know that the phone lines are blowing up, but for some reason the switchboard isn't rolling the calls over. So we do know that people are calling in to ask questions. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to access the line. So if you're watching us live, please feel free to post your questions on the live stream, and we'll take it that way. Unfortunately, we have to work out some glitches on the phone lines. So anybody else trying to call in,
And tell everybody who we're with.
well, yeah, and so we're on the line right now with Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. Ed, so you did mention that to Ralph's question, what can people do? What can private citizens do? And you said vote. And so I want to reiterate how important that is, because elections do matter. My understanding, I went to a town hall meeting where bail bond reform was discussed, and I think that in theory, again, it's a good concept. However, there was a judge right there on the stage that said he doesn't do the risk assessment. And I just thought that was just beyond my comprehension, how you would not assess somebody's risk. I understand the disproportionality. I understand, the injustice of incarcerating somebody because of lack of financial resources. However, incarcerating somebody because they're a danger to society, not only private citizens, but again, back to the law enforcement officers, because they're out there, who's to say that somebody's not going to retaliate on an officer who arrested him, so, and we've had that.
Yeah, I think that again, I mean, we have to find that balance and be smart about it. We've got to look at risk. We got to make sure people are showing up to court. All those factors need to be considered. It can't be one extreme or another. And, I think that's what we need to do. And sometimes we miss the boat. Again, we can't just say everybody should get out. And just like, we also can't say, well, just lock everybody that hasn't been convicted yet and keep them in jail. I mean, we have folks that are waiting for trial. It's been more than a year. And I'm not even talking a young cat or anything. I'm talking about a 60-something-year-old person that's in jail, and I talked to one individual, he's in his 60s, he goes, Sheriff, I just, I smoke marijuana. He goes, but I was working, I was on probation, I failed my urinalysis test, police went and arrested me because I failed my urinalysis, now I'm locked up, I don't have a job, I'm in my 60s, and I mean, just because he smokes weed, now, regardless of what we feel about that, is that somebody that should be in jail dealing with it? There's got to be other ways,
And we have a question here from Christy Hernandez. She said, what types of partnerships are available for people released from jail to help partner with law enforcement to improve relations?
Well, we have case workers that work inside our jail. So whenever somebody's going to be released, we try to make sure that they're connected either to family, or if not, that we connect them with some type of the different partners that we have out in the community. We work with different communities, partners that do job training. We work with the veterans community. We have a lot of veterans that are locked up for some different things. They come back from abroad with PTSD and other things and end up, making some mistakes. So we do try to partner a lot with different agencies and organizations that want to help out, because the goal at the end of the day is for individuals that come out, because whether we want to or not, no matter what happened, at some point they're going to return into the community.
Sure.
And if nothing has been done to try to improve their situation a little bit, we can hold them accountable. When I walk through the jail, I'll always tell them, it's still about accountability. It's not about giving you a free pass, but I hope you learn from your mistakes and that you could go on and have a better life so that you don't come back through the jail. And so it's about, we have partnerships with HEC, with different organizations, depending on what they need, to try to plug them into something, to get them a little bit of support. And also for their children, I did a study here, and I found out that every year, I know you do a lot with young people, like I said, Sonia, and 90,000 children every year have a parent that's incarcerated.
Yeah.
And we know statistically that those children are going to grow up and probably become just as involved because they had a parent that's incarcerated. Now, again, we could ignore that, but at some point in the future, they're going to end up incarcerated too, and I'd rather be using that taxpayer money to fund other stuff in the community. Even if it's more police officers, so that we can protect the community.
But now, how safe are the jails right now? I mean, with the virus, how many people do you have hoteling there now?
I have over 8,000 people right now, and what I try to explain early on is that we have a big challenge in any jail or prison system, because people think, oh, well, they're locked up, they're safe, they shouldn't be infected, but that's not true. Every day, we're having new people that get arrested every day and come into the jail. So even if the people that are in here aren't infected, we're adding new people every single day that are out committing crimes or allegedly committing crimes. So they come into the system. We have over 2,000 employees that come into our jail system every day, medical staff, corrections officers, and others. So they're taking it back to their families sometimes. So it's a real challenge. We can't effectively social distance everybody because we have limited capacity. And so those are all challenges. And people that come into a jail system typically aren't in the best shape to begin with. Again, we have a large minority population, so we know how it is in our communities. We have a lot of diabetes, obesity, hypertension. All those things are high-risk factors for people with COVID. So those are all challenges that we're dealing with. Right now, we're at a good point in the sense that we don't have a lot of people infected inside the jail, but we had a big outbreak. A big spike a couple months ago. But we're past that right now. But with everything going on in the community and people still coming in, I think we're gonna end up seeing another spike inside the jail.
And I know the mayor and the commissioner called upon you to help them in regards to making sure people are doing the mask thing, the distance thing here in the Houston area. Could you share with us a little bit about how you are involved in that?
Yeah, well, in our jail facility, we make sure everybody has a mask. We have a medical team that's here that's also, providing them care whenever they are sick. We have a 24/7 medical clinic. We're doing the screenings, temperature checks when we're coming in. We're doing testing. We're testing more people percentage-wise than any other jail facility that I know of. So we're testing the defendants that are inside the jail as well, so we can know if they have it or they don't. And if they do have it, we can try to get them the care quicker. So in many ways, they're getting better care than what they could probably get right now somewhere else. And then we're masking up as well. But again, with so many people coming in and out, it's really tough to contain the spread of any type of virus. That's why you're seeing a lot of jails and everything getting infected in any kind of jail system all over the country.
And so Christy Hernandez says, thank you, Sheriff Gonzalez. We appreciate your leadership. And I also want to send a shout out to the Texas First Lady, Cecilia Abbott, who is listening in on our conversation. Ed, you have implemented several programs in the jail. I know that you mentioned the children of incarcerated individuals. Didn't you have a Christmas program for the children so they could spend Christmas? Or you have a lot of programs. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we do, and greetings to the First Lady. I hope she and the governor and everybody are doing well. We know that everybody's dealing with a lot right now around the state, and we appreciate her advocacy for human trafficking and other things as well. What we try to do is just meet people where they're at. We know that for one reason or another, people become incarcerated. Under normal circumstances, I would invite you and Ralph to come do a walking tour with me. I promise we'll let you out.
Thanks.
Calm down. I want y'all to come and actually see what it's all about and get a first-hand look at what a jail system is and who comes through our jail, and talk to some of the people and hear some of what their life stories are. But our focus is to try to help the children, because they don't have it's not their fault that a parent's been incarcerated. They love their parents. Parents are now away from home. And so especially during the Christmas holidays, we partner with Navidad del Barrio, which it's just an amazing organization with Izzy and his wife and everybody. And we partnered with them, and I sponsored a toy giveaway here where we connect some of the parents to their children, where they come and visit them. They get to at least hug them, present them a gift that we provide, and we do that. We also, every year now for more than 20 years, our team donates toys. We do a system-wide toy drive to get them to the Children's Assessment Center, the children that have been abused. We provide toys for them as well. So we try to be supportive of the community and lift where we stand every day and try to make a positive difference.
We thank you for the opportunity to tour the facility. Our producer Art Lopez is here, and he said he'd be more than happy to spend some time in there with you.
Overnight.
No, I'll keep you there.
He's already been here before.
That was 25 years ago.
We have another question. It says, does the jail implement rapid COVID testing to help expedite results and minimize exposure, or are they utilizing the same testing that takes 7 to 10 business days?
We've been pretty aggressive with our testing. We started aggressive testing probably more than any other jail system, just about anywhere that I know of, a few months ago. The results at first were a little bit slower. Now we're getting them within about 2 days. So that really helps us. And now we also have access to start doing the rapid testing where we can get results that same day. So we're real aggressive to make sure that we're trying to curb the spread of the disease inside our jail. That machine, though, I'm told that sometimes the error rate can be maybe close to 40%. So we also try to be cautious and not just fully depend on that rapid testing. I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert on the machines, but we still use it. We're going to use it and try to use every tool we can to make sure that we try to keep protecting not only our staff, but those individuals that come into our system that may be infected, and then ultimately if they were to come out, that we also do screenings before anybody comes out to make sure that we're not releasing someone that's infected or anything like that.
Right.
Now this is a holiday weekend coming up, Sheriff Gonzalez, and what's the game plan in regards to keeping things safe around you? As I stated earlier, you got people walking around with no masks, grouped up on top of each other. We have masks in here, yes, but there are people walking around with no masks, all on top of each other. What's your game plan in regards to this weekend and keeping people out of these parks in large numbers?
Yeah, I think something was just announced right before we came on the air. I think we're around Harris County. I think they're going to limit the parks just to having the trails open, maybe. But I think like swimming areas and all that will not be open over the weekend. We just got to stay smart. You know, I mean, I personally trust that people will make the best decisions for themselves. Sometimes they show that they're not making those good decisions. We see some of the nightclubs that were opened up, and people are just getting sick. We see people getting infected. You know, we also want to tell them that, you know, of course, it's not the time to be discharging firearms, celebratory gunfire, as it's called sometimes. It's against the law. People can get hurt. We saw someone this past New Year that lost their life by a stray bullet. And with the hospitals being full, or close to being full, we don't want anybody getting injured, and also driving while they're intoxicated. Let's be smart, people. You know, I'm out there in the field quite a bit, and I see a lot of people driving intoxicated, no seatbelts, kids no seatbelts, too much loss of life. We lead the country in Harris County with the number of major crashes and fatalities due to impaired driving of some kind. That's preventable. It can stop. Let's be responsible. Let's not let somebody drive drunk.
And I follow you on Twitter actually, and I see all of the postings that you were putting on there while we were shut down. So didn't the crime or traffic accidents that increased while we were shut down for what, 30 days, 45 days?
Yeah.
Yeah, the traffic. We did not go down in crashes or anything, and I think that what happened is people get more reckless because they say, okay, there's no traffic, so they're speeding. I saw several fatalities with no seatbelt. I saw one, deceased young kid. I think he was 4 years old. You know, I mean, it really impacts you to see, you know, his lifeless body, no seatbelt, you know, and And I mean, and then, people are speeding, like I said, they're on the cell phone. Sometimes you have corridors like the US 90 Crosby corridor where it's very dark at night. I mean, we just got to be careful. People are still speeding out there, and we still see them. We're still seeing a lot of that, a lot of drunk driving, even though that there's been a shutdown. And a lot of the people that were driving weren't what one would consider essential trips. They weren't like, I'm going to the store for, the pharmacy or the store for groceries, or I'm coming from work. It was, I'm just going to go visit a friend, or, coming from a boyfriend or girlfriend's house or something like that. And, just be smart and try to limit as much as you can. I mean, we know that people have to be out. I know that there's a lot of cabin fever going on, but it's about having common sense, and people just being smart and being responsible.
We've got people listening all over the nation, all over the world, and especially the people up in Chicago. We don't want to lose you. We don't want anybody to hire you away from us, but we need some advice. Especially, I mean, how is it? Okay, you had 63 people in Chicago shot this past weekend. 16 of them died in Chicago. How is it that we can not be in that type of situation here in Houston? I mean, I know you talk to other police people across the country, sheriffs across the country. Why is it different here?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, my heart breaks for Chicago. It's a beautiful city, and I read one story where a young girl was just dancing, I think, inside her home in front of her mom, and I think a stray bullet from a drive-by or something, shot and killed her, and several other children were also hurt. And Chicago, seems to now have that reputation of just, violence that's just off the charts. And they put a lot of attention. They have a lot more police officers than we do here in this region. And, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be working. And they actually have pretty stricter gun laws over there as well. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on out there in Chicago. My heart breaks for them. I hope, gun violence is never the answer in any way, and especially when innocent people are getting hurt. And, we're going to continue to do what we can to hold the line here. I mean, we know that, look, we've got to police in a fair and just way, to be professional. Everybody expects that. At the same time, I'll tell you, I'm not naive. I've been doing this job for a long time. I've been a homicide detective. I've seen some things, as they say. And, there is violent crime out in the communities. There's still people that are looking for targets to victimize, to do things. And we got to make sure that we're also protecting the community at large. I think the vast majority of the community want good policing. They also want to feel safe in their own homes. And we got to make sure that we do not start encountering situations that other major cities across the country are experiencing, because things can go really bad really quick, and we don't want that. Our city's too great for that.
Well, thank you, Ed, so much. I know you've always been, as long as I've known you, you've always been very open and accessible. So I appreciate your leadership in that aspect and all that you do. I see that you're always very active in keeping the public informed of what's happening in your departments and just what's happening around the county. So I do appreciate your time and appreciate everything that you've done while you've been there and in other positions. You've held other public offices, so we do appreciate you. And we did have a lot of people calling in again. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get their calls, but if anybody wants to post your comments on the live stream, we'd be happy to address them and carry your messages to the sheriff. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you both, Sonia
Thank you.
and Ralph, and,
Thank you.
and everybody that tuned in. And, just a big fan of BNET Radio and your program. Thank you for what you're doing, and I would love to have an opportunity to come back on the show and talk about this or any other issues as well. And no one has all the answers, but we could work together to try to figure it out as best we can. And appreciate all the listeners for tuning in and supporting internet radio, and to continue to tune in and just doing supporting one another. We need to uplift each other a lot too. There's a lot of tough things going on around our country, and we need to hold on to each other a little bit tighter.
Thank you.
Ed.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
So, what do you think, Ralph?
Well, I think he answered a lot of questions that people have on their minds, and it was good to hear from him.
Absolutely.
Especially in these times when people need to be reassured that there is some type of law enforcement available during these times.
And I appreciate your question, because I always compare Houston to Chicago in terms of size, because we are very similar in terms of size. But Chicago has quite about, I think, triple the police force that we have, and yet their gun violence, their person-to-person violence is exponential compared to Houston. So I would like to offer my comments. I think that Houston just has a really amazing, for whatever problems that we have a really amazing people that, Houstonians, and we take care of each other, and I appreciate his final message of taking care of each other and looking out for each other. So obviously we do have our problems, but we can't compare our problems to Chicago.
And we need more funding.
Yes.
We need more funding in regards to not just the police department, but we need more funding in regards to those programs that are around the police department. I've been involved in those after-school programs
Yes.
for kids, the boxing gyms, Little League, and all that type of stuff, and the other art. We need more funding for those type of programs. And those lawmakers hopefully are listening to this program, and hopefully they can do something about that.
So we have to switch back over to Dave Biondi.
All right. And
I hope he's got some.
I
I hope he has some.
Well, I won't go down to the courthouse. I'll tell you, it ain't gonna happen for me to go to the jail.
No, I know you won't get out.
Everybody,
We go together. The two of us won't get out.
There's too many people know me there.
Both of us, yes.
But anyhow, we're going to take a commercial break here, and we'll play a tune. We're going to play Ralph Salinas.
I don't come here if you don't do that.
So we're going to play.
We'll wave the flag.
Yeah.
Do the Don King and wave the flag since it's July 4th weekend. Okay. There you
All
go.
right, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
So we're still live, Ralph, and I want to thank all of our viewers that are watching us online on Facebook. Thank you for watching, and please continue to submit your comments. You can submit them to me, to BNET, Ralph Cooper. Feel free to submit your questions, because we're more than happy to connect you to the resources that you need. If you have resources that you want us to share with other individuals, please post those in your comments. And I do want to say, it is my birthday, so I do, and a lot of people have been wishing me happy birthday. Thank you very
We're gonna
much.
get Dave to sing
I'm-
now for you.
I'm very-
Dave, can you sing for me? Can you have
I'm
a
very
birthday?
extra about my birthday because it's the day after the 4th of July, so I always kind of like thought
Can
that
Dave sing for you?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
But thank you for your birthday wishes, and happy birthday to America. And I'm so proud to be a citizen of the United States. And with all of our problems, I still believe that we are the best country in the world, and nobody can take that away from me. You can argue with me, but that's what, happy birthday. Happy birthday, America. Celebrate wisely, responsibly, as the sheriff said. When we do the walkthrough of Harris County Jail, we don't want to see you sitting behind the bars. We want to see, we'd, like you to be out in the free world. But I don't know, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, and I know, like most people on their birthday, they have something special they eat and they drink. Well, what are you doing for your birthday? I know you're being treated well.
Well, I am being treated very well, actually.
You didn't say that at first, but now you know.
Yeah, I have really great friends. But I had planned to go to Galveston. I still plan to go to Galveston.
You go early in the morning. You're going to go early, right?
Yeah. However, they shut the beaches down.
Yes.
And so, I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this. So I think I'm going to go head out there early before they shut down.
Yeah.
And then, and keep social distance. I mean, you can hang out. Now they're closed. You can't. And then the other thing was that they said they were going to impose a $500 fine if they catch you on the beach.
Right.
So I had to weigh it out. I'm like, do I want to pay $500?
So then you got something special you treat yourself to?
Well, I'm telling everybody it's my birthday, so the offers,
Yeah, they're getting the message.
Yeah, so any offers, if you don't have time to buy me a gift, you can send cash.
What?
Anyway, thank you for joining us, everyone. And so what's going on? There's a lot of other stuff going on in
Well, the
Harris
Astros,
County.
we want to say hello to the Astros, Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman, and Jose Altuve. they're all getting ready for the baseball season. So they've already, they're getting ready to play baseball, try to play baseball. So many of us are excited about that. They've got a number of new rules. Even the media that gets into the games, you have to be, you take a temperature test.
Okay.
You have to take a temperature test. And you, in the past, you may have had a pass for the entire season. You don't, that's not happening anymore. It's a game by game type situation.
2.5 minutes.
And so
coming back.
The Astros and the Texans are giving back money. If you are a season ticket holder with the Houston Texans and you would like to stay away from the games if they play this year, you can get your money back, but you can still keep your seats for next season.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you've got that situation going on. Then you've got James Harden and Eric Gordon and Russell Westbrook and the Houston Rockets getting ready to play a short season, what they're calling a championship run. So you've got a number of things. The high schools have shut down, but they've got camps going on. They've got private camps going on for the youth, and many people have put their young people in those camps, and some seem to be practicing safety and some don't because they're on top of each other. So
About a minute before we go back.
we'll see what happens. And we've got our answer to the White House here with us. This man is a dictator. He's running things here.
So,
Day beyond it.
so we have 1 minute before we go back on the radio. But
That's the voice you heard in the back. They heard his voice.
Now that he's blown his wad on,
So we have 1 minute before we go back on the radio, or less than a minute. But real quick, I wanted to address education because I read an article. I think it was yesterday. How please don't quote me on the numbers because I know they're probably not accurate. But I think like 20,000 students did not finish their assignments for the school year, and that is so many students in Texas that didn't get to finish their school year, their content that was necessary for them to be promoted to the next year. So imagine what our communities are going to look like.
Well, that's why I mentioned the funding a few minutes ago in regards to some after-school type programs or more funding in regards to education for the youth because of the situation that they're in. And think about this, how jittery they may be in regards to being locked up. You and I'm older than you, I'm jittery about being locked up. Imagine being 16, 17, 15 years old and locked up.
30 seconds.
Yeah, and so hopefully that will be worked out if they have school.
They're talking about not having it.
Yeah.
All right, now we've made Ralph Cooper happy with Selena.
Thank you.
And dreaming of you. And we are in the middle of hot topics here with Sonia Rivera and Ralph Cooper. We had the Harris County Sheriff on just a few minutes ago, and the guy did a great job, I thought. So let's go back to the discussions. You guys take it over.
I'm like super excited because I'm looking at Dave's monitor and it keeps telling me happy birthday. So I'm like, anyway. So we were talking about education, and so they are talking about, they're not really sure. Initially they had said we are coming back in the fall, with precautions, and now they're really like unsure of it. So it's a really unstable, I think, situation for our students. And so I think that we need to, the funding has always been an issue. However, I think that, TEA, the Texas Education Agency, needs to take some responsibility for the state of our schools because they have another investigation going on into HISD and mismanagement of some sort. So
I know the people running the state have a lot on their table. They're dealing with the bars, they're dealing with the COVID-19 and keeping people safe. But I go back to the young people again, who we're their voice. If we don't speak up for them, they're not going to really have anybody speaking up for them. We took away recently. They shut down the football practices, for example, the workouts, the outdoor workouts. See, many people don't realize how important that was because it gave them a chance to get out of the house and be supervised by one of their coaches, girls and boys, all sports. And now, because the virus has kicked off on another level in the state of Texas, in many places they've stopped that, and rightfully so. But now, what do we do? How do you make up for that? What do we do to give them another outlet? Because they were at school. Now you're at school. You're under the supervision of your coach, and then all of a sudden that's snatched away from you, and you're told you can't do this anymore.
Well, it's really unfortunate because sports, you know, we all know that school and sports is sometimes the only safe thing, that options that our young people have. I mean, sometimes their situation at home is more, and so it's really unfortunate that that's taking place. And I guess I just, you know, we need to look out for each other. We need to look out for each other's kids and go back to the way we used to do things and come together as a community, because I think that our children, regardless of whose child it is a community's responsibility to nurture our young people. And, you know, I back when the defunding conversation first started, and say quote unquote defunding, but when it first started, a lot of people were saying put money into education, and I would like to say, you know, put your time, because money is important, but I think that people who have the time and the ability to mentor other youth, that is so important, and not just a one-time shot. And that's always been my issue with some mentor programs, is that people want to mentor, but they show up one time and then they never come back. If you're going to mentor a child, you have to mentor them long term. You have to be there for the long haul, whether it's 6 months or a year or longer, you know, but you can't just show up one day, take somebody to a movie, and then you walk out of their lives, because it's inconsistent.
And one thing I do in the evenings, a lot of times I drive around the different neighborhoods and see what people are doing in the parks, and you know, and then you go through, say you go through the area over near Airport and 288, and you've got new roads over there, and you look at the people who are walking with their children,
Right.
Or either riding a bicycle with their children, or either some, you see some males who may have a bunch of kids out on a soccer field, on a field, and they've turned it into a soccer game, trying to give them, you know, give them something to do. And these are the type of people that are not, they don't get any publicity, they're not being paid. They may be parents looking out for not only their children but other children. And then you go over to Tom Bass Park, you see something similar, but you see, in some cases, you see people all on top of each other as they walk. And you see little kids and adults with no mask on. So hopefully people will be a little bit safer. If you know, hopefully they'll be safer.
Yeah.
You know.
No, absolutely. You have to use the social distance, the safety precautions that have been set in motion. We just have a few minutes left, but there are so many issues that we can talk about. And again, we want to thank Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, but I think also I want people to be cognizant that, it goes along with the children and human trafficking and child abuse and domestic violence. We need to look out for each other, because those are all things that are increasing right now that we're shut down because we're so concerned with the virus and the effects of the virus, that, you know, these things are kind of sliding, you know, how can I say, they're happening, and then they're increasing. And so,
and I want to encourage women. I want to encourage the women to be safer. You can't leave your purse on the seat of your car and then not thinking that you've got people out here looking for you.
Yeah.
They're looking for you. They're driving up, looking to see if your purse is on the front, on the passenger seat of your car, or even down in the floorboard, where they can knock your window out and pick your take your purse. Then you had a gentleman here recently. His wife's car was hijacked or whatever, but he had a tracer. He knew what the car was. He called the police, and he said, luckily, the law officials got there before he did. So we want you all to be safe. We don't want anything to happen to you. I know it's your birthday. Don't get too excited and get carried away. And be safe.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Be safe.
No, absolutely. And I'm pretty rebellious by nature, but I am safe. You know, you have to be safe, and I have my own family, you know, that I love, and I know, you know, you just don't want to do anything that's going to take you away from your family or take your loved ones away from you. So we have to talk to each other. And again, look out for each other, not just because it is a holiday weekend, but don't drink and drive, obviously. And I know for many people, spec sales, I think, probably went through the roof this whole shutdown. However, you know, you can't be driving like that, you know.
Well, life changed. At one time, you know, you could drive with Dave remembers this. Dave remembers you could drive with a bottle open, but an open container and all that type of stuff in the car. Those days are gone. And you can't do that anymore. We have to drive on the safe side. And also, our prayers are with the family of the soldier that has been missing in Fort Hood.
Absolutely.
And we know that family's going through a lot, and our prayers are with that family in regards to what they're going through. and all other families that have lost loved ones here in recent, have lost loved ones. Our prayers are with you also.
And one last thing, well, not the last thing, but early voting started on Monday. So if you have not been out to vote, please make sure you do that. They're giving the little finger coverings to so that you can push the button safely.
What kind of cover? Someone called and said
Finger
they were,
condoms.
yeah, they were finger condoms.
I didn't want to say that.
Yeah, that's what they said.
But, yeah, the
Why
little-
do they call them finger condoms?
I don't know. But they're giving those, and so they are making sure that everybody keeps a safe distance, and the poll workers are also wearing the masks and the
And
shields.
they're asking
So
some people to take their mask off in some areas, and in some cases, they're not asking people to take their mask off. Why do you think that's
I'm not
the case?
sure. Why would they ask them to take it off?
Yeah, Wendell Mukes, a friend of mine, he had to take his mask off here recently, voting on the north side of Houston.
I would report it. I would
Yeah.
report it to
Yeah.
whoever's in charge of that precinct.
They shouldn't have to take, if he had ID,
Yeah.
but they still made him take his mask off.
Huh. Well, I would like to slide it off and
Thank
put
you
it back
for
on.
listening to me.
But yeah, I would report that to whoever the precinct judge is for that particular location. But it is early voting, so you want me to go? So it is early voting. These are the runoff elections, and because some of in both parties, the Republican and the Democratic Party, there was runoff elections. So whoever comes out ahead of all of these elections are going to be the final candidates.
And we
for
want to
November.
encourage, some people are about to vote for the first time, and they just turned 18 or whatever. We want to encourage them to go vote. If you don't know what to do, get with a parent or an older person who's voted, and go with them and cast your vote. I say hello to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. I say hello to him.
Okay.
I just felt like saying,
Alrighty then.
I'll play something for him next week, baby.
If you're just turning 18, you can't vote in this one, but you can vote in November. So make sure you get registered. I want to say a shout out to my friend Louis LaRota, who is, because he sent me a happy birthday message, and he is running for state rep district 148. And so, hi
How do you
Louis.
say happy birthday in Spanish?
Feliz cumpleaños, felicidades.
Okay.
Mañanita, you can sing me the mañanitas.
No.
That's what I don't understand. What's that, the money?
Mañanitas.
Yeah.
No.
The money.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much,
Okay,
guys.
happy birthday.
You gonna put it on the side? Hey, I had a special request. Michael
You-
Salgado.
As I recall, you wanted an Emilio song.
Emilio will do.
Well, I got Emilio to take us out of here. You've been listening to Hot Topics. It's every Thursday, 3 until 4 p.m. with Sonia Rivera and Ralph Cooper. Ralph, I've already played his Selena song, and as we take it out of here, here's Emilio
Hey, thank you.
Navarro from back in 1991. I think it went pretty good.